Alright, today I'm going to be showing you how to take three separate videos and turn them into three separate time-lapse videos and turn them into one continuous video as if it had been tracked. Now that's kind of confusing and I'll show you what I mean. The solar eclipse was just a few days ago and I shot three separate time-lapse segments because I wanted this picture right here. I got one picture, two pictures, three pictures. So I shot them at 140 millimeters on my camera, and it came out with a video that looked about like this. See, the sun came across it. When I shot about 900 pictures per segment, the sun came across it like this, and here it goes. It slowly the moon starts to pass in front of it. And then when it gets over to the edge here, it keeps on going, and then once it gets to the middle, it flips over, and then keep going. Then the third segment, it comes across. And when I showed this to everybody, my wife's like, "Wouldn't it be nice if you could just take these three videos?" Because these were three separate videos that I had to make. She said, "Wouldn't it be nice if you could just focus in on the sun and have the sun just slowly go across the screen and have it just be one without it going from one side to the next and then back 2 or 3 times." So I looked up and did a lot of work and research into doing it through Photoshop, and this is what I want to demonstrate today. You get this video right here. This is what we're looking to do. This is the same three videos zoomed in all the way, and it's very slowly panning across all three of these videos. So this is what I'm going to be demonstrating today. How to do this with those three videos. We'll get back to this here in just a second. So the first thing we need to do is in Lightroom I shot 2,600 pictures, 2,700 pictures. I kind of screwed up at the beginning of it, but it was 2,700 pictures over the course of 3 hours. It should have been, 2,700 pictures. And I have them all selected here in Lightroom. And you can see it just goes on forever. But anyway, I've got them adjusted. I did some minor edits on them from raw. I mean, this is what it looked like raw. Just some minor color, and then I set it to 16:9 resolution because that's a video resolution. And I did a little bit of angle tweaking because the first time lapse was really good as it came across, but the third segment of time lapse was angled way down. So I had to, it was angled super down, so I had to change the angle and everything like that just to make it more straight across. And anyway, after I got all these adjustments done, I Control-Shift-E will take you and export. I'll export them, and then I just picked August 8, 2017. That's when I shot it, and I exported them all into this one folder. You select that folder, and then you set my quality to 70 and JPEG sRGB, and then I put a watermark on it, and then I hit export, and exported all these. Processed all 2,700 pictures, and took about 4 hours. I went and did other things during that time, but from here I got them all into here. So here's all three separate segments, and I've already renamed them just because, for convenience in Photoshop, I sequentially named them. And so now I have all of these I have all these files, and then I go to Photoshop, and in Photoshop can make time lapses. So to make a time lapse using Photoshop, the first thing you do is you go up to File and hit Open. Don't use Open down here because for some reason it doesn't work. But go File, Open, and then make sure it says all formats here. Sometimes it says 3DS or some stupid thing, but then you find the first video segment, and what you do is you select the first one, and then you click on Image Sequence, and you hit Open, and this will give you a frame rate dialog box here. And because I've experimented with a couple different ones, and for this video I want it to move fairly fast, so I picked 60 frames per second, and then you just hit OK. And it'll pop up here on the timeline. Then you get a timeline of the first segment of the video. Right there. There's a nice little preview. First segment of the video. Okay. And now from here, drop down. I just minimize my timeline a little bit there. Then I will go and I need to open up my second. So I go in here, select the first one, hit image sequence, just like we did before, 60 frames per second. Alright, I'll minimize that a little bit again. And here's my second segment of video. And then we'll go ahead and do that for the third segment of video as well. Image sequence, bam, 60 frames per second. So now we have 3 separate segments of video. And I want to take all 3 of these videos and make that first thing, and I want them to go continuously from one to the next to the next. So what I need to do first is come in, and all of these videos are the same size. They were all exported at the same size. The first thing you need to do is you go up to Image, and you go to Canvas Size. Now the canvas size, change it from inches down to pixels, and that'll give you the height and width of all these videos. Now what I want to do is I want to make the canvas super wide. That's what I learned to do. So I go down to my calculator, 5390 times 3 videos wide equals 16,170. So I'll punch that in, 16. And I want to anchor it to the left right here. And hit OK. Now I'll zoom out with Control or Command 0, and that'll give you a good zoom out. And now I've made my canvas a lot wider. Now what I want to do is I want to take this video and drop it onto this segment here. And I'll show you how to do that. We go here and up to over here onto the right where it says Video Group, collapse it, right click on it, and go to Convert to Smart Object. And once it's been converted to a smart object, go ahead and grab it, grab a hold of it, drag it up to this tab right here, and then drop it in the middle of this video. And it won't show up because it gives precedence to whatever layer is on the timeline. So it'll show up here once you drag. See, there it is. It gives precedence to wherever places it is on the timeline. And then for the third video, you do the same thing. You just close that down, right click on it, go to Convert to Smart Object, grab a hold of it, drag it over, and drop it kind of toward the end of it. Alright, now you have 3 separate videos, 3 separate video groups here. And what you do now is you need to align these. So the first thing we need to do to get the alignment perfect, because I want to go straight, I want this sun to go straight across the entire image. So what you do for that, to make sure it's perfectly aligned, go to View, come down to New Guide, where it says New Guide, and you want a vertical line. Now I'll look over here on my ruler, it says 15 to 20, so I'll just punch in 20. And that'll give me, no, I have to clear that, sorry. Go down to View and New Guide, we want that to be horizontal. And give that a 20. Now, these lines will automatically center. If you drag it, it'll kind of stick to the center there for a couple pixels, so you can actually get it right in the dead center. And that's what we wanted. Now we'll see if we zoom in a little bit and pan over. And zooming and panning, just grab the space bar and go like that. Click on the screen. That's the easiest way to pan. That's what I'm going to be doing the whole time. You grab it, drag it across, drag it across, drag it across, and it goes straight across. So the first video is perfectly straight. And now we'll get into the second video and see where that is. Okay, that's not perfectly straight. It's not lined up. So what you need to do is you need to have the Move tool selected. And I want to get this video more or less straight. So we'll drag, we'll see the path of it. It looks like it's kind of angled down as it goes. So yeah, it angles down as it goes. So what I need to do to correct that is I will select the video group here and then do Control or Command T, and that will allow me to, no, never mind on that. Don't do that. What you do is you go up to Edit, go to Transform, and then you want to Rotate. And this will allow you to rotate slightly, just to make it more centered, and then use the arrow, up and down arrows to kind of guess and make it level, because it was angled down, so I'll just kind of tilt it to the left a little bit here. You kind of have to guess because you can't work the timeline while it's in transform mode. And just hit enter. That will set it. And now you get to see what you did. And yeah, for the most part, it goes right across the middle of that line, which is perfect. And now what we need to do is come back to the transition between these first video and the second video and zoom in. Because now we're going to get our alignment from one to the next perfect. And this is kind of a critical thing. So right here, I'm going to skip ahead, use the skip ahead until I get the frame that I want. Bam, right there. And I'll go ahead and create a new guideline. So I'll go to View, New Guide, and then it will be another horizontal at about 18, and I'll drag this guideline down to the very top of the sun. And then I'll take another, go up to View again, and another guide, New Guide, and I will go vertical. And we're up at about 74 here, so on the ruler, so I'll just take it about 74. Then I'll move that to the edge of the sun here. So now I know exactly where the top point and the back of the sun is. So when I transition to here, all I need to do is drag my video and use the arrow keys to fine-tune it so that the sun is at the back point. So these two lines and the top point. So when you go from one to the next, it's seamless. And that's using guidelines to level your video. Now I'll zoom back out and I'll go up. And I'll keep that middle guideline because the third video angled way down. See, it starts and it ends. Oh, it heads out. It heads way down. Oops. All right, now see, I've lost canvas space. So what I've done, what you need to do with the third video is you need to grab a hold of it. Whoops. Make sure you got the right one selected here. Select it and then grab a hold of it and then move it to where it's back centered on the canvas. So now it's centered on the canvas. Now you can see kind of the path that it takes, and it goes down. So you got a little bit of work to do with that one to make sure it's straight. So it's just you go up to Edit and then go back down to Transform, and then we'll go ahead and rotate that again, just like we did before. And it's a pretty severe angle, so I'll kind of kick it back pretty severe. You just have to kind of guess here. And then kind of put the sun right in the middle of it again, and then press enter. And then we'll see how well that moves across the middle. And look at that, it goes right across the middle. I love it when things work out. And it kind of rises a little bit, the angle's a little bit stiff, but sharp, but for the most part it works out pretty good. So then we go right back here to the transition of these two. From one to the next, go zoom in again, zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. Alright, we'll zoom in again, get down here, we'll click on our frame advance. Advance, 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 advance. Until we get to the transition. Okay, there's the transition frame right there. And then we'll go ahead and take our guidelines again. Grab this top guideline. Set it on the top of that. And then we'll go ahead and go up to View. Get another guide. Another vertical. Now we're at about 148 on the ruler. The ruler up here will tell you where we are. And I will put that right on the edge of the point of the moon here, or the sun. I keep calling it the moon because it looks like the moon, but it's actually a solar eclipse, which is awesomer. And then we'll go ahead, skip ahead a frame. Now, the sun isn't quite there in this. I kind of messed up on it. So I'll skip ahead a little bit until it shows up. There it goes. It shows up right there. That's when it first makes its little appearance. And then I'll make sure this is selected. I'll right click on this and I'll split the clip. We'll zoom in a little bit and I'll just delete that segment where it was, didn't show up. So now we've got, we'll go back to the very beginning of it. And we'll have a smooth transition. Right there. Now the point of the sun was right here, and so this is my guide. I will switch over to here, and then I will move it up to match. And you got to make sure this is selected first. Alright, here we go. And I will put my guide right here. And I'll butt that right up against so that the point touches the point. And there you go. And this is kind of a rough demonstration. I'm a little bit more nuts about editing this. But for the sake of demonstration, now we have straight across, and now you can go up to view, and you can, once you've got done with the guides, you can clear your guides. Then you go back. Now you can see a smooth transition throughout the whole video, one to the next to the next. And if you exported the video at this point, you'd have this. Now we have it going, moving across. It'll move across, and then when it hits the transition, it will. See, now I'll go to the second one. And this is what we've accomplished. If you exported the video right now, this is what it would look like, but it's tiny. And what we want to accomplish now is a pan and a zoom. So we want to zoom in on this sun right here, zoom in, and then we want to follow it, panning across the screen. That's what we're going to do next. So from this point, go back into here. We go up to video group 1. And I want to make all of this one smart object. So we'll right click on video group 1, go down to convert to smart object, and that will make them all three one smart object. And now we can add our motion effects. Now to add motion effects, the first thing we need to do is I want to zoom way in. I don't want to, like, you can just add it, you can just set it up to pan from one side to the next, but it'll only be this tiny little sun in this big screen. So I actually want to zoom in on the sun. I want to get really close. So what you do to zoom in is you go to image, and then you go to canvas size, and then you go to pixels like before, and then you change the canvas size to 1280 by 720 or 1920 by 1080, whatever the widescreen resolution is. And I'm going to go ahead and anchor it to the left like that. Now we've got this tiny little thing, but now the video's big. Now here's my sun. Here's the sun. This is as big as I want the video. Now I want the sun to just slowly cross a transition like that video I showed you to begin with. So to do that, to accomplish that, we need to right click on this, go to motion, and select pan. Now uncheck resize to fill canvas, and under pan you go 180 degrees, and that'll move that little, that means we'll start from the left and pan clear across to the right. And then just press enter when you're done with that. And now we need to tell Photoshop where to start panning and where to end panning. And what you do is you come over here to video group and you drop down this arrow right here, and you go to, and you'll have these two little dots, one at the beginning and one at the end, under transform. And see, right now if you played the video, it would start and then all of a sudden it disappear, and then you'd have nothing but black for the whole rest of the video. So we need to tell it to move. In order to do that, you get Control T or Command T, and that'll bring up the transform It'll bring up the transform. So you'll be able to transform this whole video if you wanted. If you wanted to angle it or something else. We don't want to do that. So you zoom in and then you hit Alt, Shift, and then you click. And that will set, I usually set it far to the left. And what that will do is that will coincide with this first dash right here. And then you press enter. And that will set it. And now I want to go all the way to the end of my video. And it'll just be the checkered canvas, because nothing's there yet. And I want to select this little guy down here. And then I want to go back and hit Control T again to transform. And now I need to zoom out. Zoom, 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 zoom. And now you can just grab and drag this clear across. You need to drag it clear to the other side, where the sun is over there. And then zoom in. Drag it right there. And then you hit Alt, Shift, and then click on that side. And then press enter. So that's told where to zoom on the other side. And now I'll maximize with Control or Command 0. And for the first time, you will see this very slow panning from one to the next video. And all these little canvas things that show up, they'll all be black in the final video. Which works because we just have the sun against a black video and a black background. Now you've accomplished it. You have that video that I showed you to begin with. And now you go down to File, Export, Render Video, and I like high quality, H.264, HDTV 1080p. And even though it's 720, I just go 1080p. And the export file was something like this. It's like 34 megabytes, so it's not very big. Then you go up and name it, and Sun Lapse or whatever. And then you hit render. And then you wait for about a half an hour, because there's a lot of transitions and all that. And there's 2,700 files to go through, so it takes a little bit longer. But the final result is this time lapse. I zoomed way in. And then we'll see my transition about right here. There's my transition. The tripod was more stable in the second transition, so there's not as much jumping. And there goes the solar eclipse, wrapping around. This is the second segment. And then we come, and there's the third segment. Man, it kind of angles down. I didn't get my lines perfectly straight, but it's just almost impossible to line it up just right. But for demonstration purposes, it works. And that is how you combine, using Photoshop, how you can take 3 separate segment videos, like this, and turn them into one segment video, like this.